So imagine this, you give a presentation and 5 people praise you and 1 person gives you criticism. Which one do you think you'll remember and replay in your mind over and over again? Of course, it's the negative one. It gets highlighted in our mind because of something that's known as negativity bias. And this bias towards negativity is completely normal. It's something we inherited from our ancestors who evolved to be constantly on the lookout for problems and dangers. So our minds are really good at registering negative experiences quickly, highlighting them, and storing them in memory. However, the problem with negativity bias these days is that in the long term, you can develop a tendency to become pessimistic, stressed out, and negative. So this focus on the negative tends to get really ramped up, and we can get stuck if we're not careful. So today I'm going to share 2 powerful tools you can use to help you work with negative thoughts so you can break free from their grip. So the first one is a technique called Name It to Tame It. Here's how it works. When an unhelpful or negative thought comes up, you simply mentally label the story. You've probably noticed that many of our thoughts are repetitive and involve the same storylines. So you might use labels such as remembering, planning, judging, stressing, etc. It really depends on the flavor of thoughts that come up for you. So when thoughts come up, you mentally make a note to yourself, and as soon as you name the mental story or pattern, you've now stepped back from being caught up in it. So you can do the same thing with emotions. If anxiety comes up, you can say things like, anxiety is here, maybe it's sadness, so sadness is here, etc. And the second tool is something known as reframing. So this is a practice for looking at things differently and choosing to put a more positive spin on an experience. So it's not the same thing as just positive thinking, but a great way to warm up to it is to think of it as viewing problems as opportunities. So when you can spin a problem into an opportunity, this helps you feel more empowered to find a potential solution rather than feeling stuck and overwhelmed. So here's how framing works. Number 1, you catch it. So you become aware of that recurring stressful thought that keeps coming up for you. Number 2, you want to challenge it. So examine the truth of these thoughts. Are the things you're telling yourself even 100% true? Perhaps you're over-exaggerating, or maybe you're even downplaying something. So just get really honest with yourself here. And number 3, change it. See if you can see your thoughts in a way that still fits the facts of your situation, but is a little bit less negative. So ask yourself, what is an empowering interpretation I could focus on instead? Please remember that the point of these tools isn't to avoid negative thoughts or just always be positive. It's about being more mindful when these thoughts do arise and having tools to untangle ourselves so when we can move on, when we know they're no longer helpful and will only cause us to spiral into anxiety and stress. So try one of these out next time you catch yourself stuck in a negative thought loop and just notice the shift that takes place.